I don't know if this is so much a rant, but I guess the message that comes to mind, what I'd like to share with others is uh, um, being more careful with your word choice, being less careless with your word choice, being more intentional with your word choice. I don't have something that's related to pop culture right now, Graham. I'm not going to pull a Cat Williams here. And I love Cat, by the way. Ohio, Cincinnati and Dayton, Ohio, for sure. I think he was born in Cincinnati and raised in Dayton until he was 13. And from what we learned in the interview, then he moved down to Florida at age 13. Don't know how he pulled that off. I'm not that smart. At 13, I was not doing that, but shout out to Cat. But no, words are so powerful. They're very powerful, right? And I think a lot of times, myself included, right, we all maybe are a little bit too lax with our words, or we'll say stuff not thinking that there are potential consequences or ramifications with them, even when we're just reciting the words of a song, right? And people talk about manifesting and manifestation. I think that's a real thing. It's a big thing. It's a true thing. And so the more that you speak something out there, for me, the more likely the chances are that it happens. So I think just being more careful with your word choice, and not just saying stuff to say it. So there's two stories that come to mind for me in regards to this topic. And they're both great examples of speaking something into existence. But one is speaking something good into existence, and the other is speaking something bad into existence. And the first one that comes to mind was it was spring semester of 2012 for me at BGSU. I know I'm old, Grant. But I was getting ready to graduate in May, and I was interning at Hot 97.3 in Toledo. And they had a full-time on-air position open up. And so I'm like, oh, of course I'm going for this, right? I'm getting my full package together. I got my on-air air check, my production air check, resume, headshot, photo shoot, anything I can think to put in this package that will spice it up a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this job. As soon as I graduate, I'm going to have a full-time gig on air in terrestrial commercial radio. And so I'm speaking it out there. I'm saying it to my friends. I'm praying about it. But I'm also working towards it. And then I do all this to turn my materials in and learn that someone else already got the job. And so and it hit me in the face a little bit, but then also I was just so in this mode of somehow I'm going to have a full-time or an on-air gig immediately when I graduate college in a couple months in May. So it didn't really stop me. And I was applying to other places. One place that I didn't apply was the Juice 107.3 in Toledo. One, they didn't have any openings that were at least public. And this was where I interned also. And this is the week before, 1 or 2 weeks before I was supposed to graduate. And I get a call as I'm walking through the business building at BGSU. Random call. I know who it was. It was were the individuals at the Juice 107.3, individuals that I interned under, my former program director, Charlie Mack, and then one of my role models, Tisha Lee. It was just random. I wasn't expecting the call, but I had sent them my materials just to get their feedback. And they called, and they're like, they're on speakerphone. We want to tell you a couple things. First of all, your air check, it sucks. And this wasn't anything new for me to hear. We had that great rapport, and they were going to be honest and genuine, which I appreciated and respected, of course. And the second thing was, we want to have you come in and do weekends for us. Cha-ching, there it is. So first on-air gig was just in commercial radio, was just acquired in that moment. And I believe it was the day I graduated. I don't know if it was my birthday or it was either May 4th or May 5th, but I graduated and was on air that same day in Toledo for my first actual on-air gig on the Juice 107.3 in Toledo. And so for me, I worked for it too, but I spoke it into existence throughout that semester. When I thought it was actually going to be at this station and it was going to be a full-time on-air gig, it was at this station down the road and it was a part-time on-air gig. That didn't hurt my feelings by any means. I got my chance to be on commercial radio, which is what I was trying to do. I got my foot in the door.
So tell me, when you found out that you weren't going to get the job or what you were striving for at first, was it kind of a now what type of situation where you didn't really know where to turn, or did you just keep your head down and keep going?
Head down and keep going. I mean, it was a now what, like, okay, well, this door is closed, but I was still applying. Even I was applying to jobs across the country. I was just trying to set myself up for success upon graduation. I didn't want to graduate and not have something. And if that was the case, I still would have kept going until I had something, because I knew what I had to do to get it. I knew the materials I needed. I just wanted that first on-air job at a commercial station as opposed to my collegiate station. And yeah, so it was just head down, keep going. So that was the good. But on the other side, I'm gonna take you back even further. This is like 2010 or 2011, or a year or two before. I know, once again, old Grant.
I was 5.
I was getting ready to ask, how old are you? 5 is crazy. I love it though. I was making a song, and I used to. Well, I still make some songs here and there, but it was the music, the content in the music was less positive than it is now at 33. I recorded this song. It was a story. It was a fabricated story. I think nowadays they would call it cap rapping or something like that. It wasn't something that I had experienced in real life. And music is it's a form of expression. I think you can tell stories in music, right? I think we do tell stories in music. They don't always have to be true, but also there was no reason for me to tell this story if I hadn't experienced it or lived it in my head. And now at 33, why would I say this out loud? But I didn't think anything of it. And then, I don't know, probably about 5 years ago, this same exact story happened to me, Grant, like in real time though. I'm not thinking about the song. I didn't when the situation is happening. I'm not. This song is long gone. I don't even know this song exists in my head. But I was in a transitional stage just as far as just life and moving and so on and so forth. And one day I pull up some old files on my laptop. This is like a week after this situation occurred. And on my laptop is this old song. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know it was the old song. I'm going through a lot of old songs, MP3s, and I press it and I'm like, oh, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, I forgot all about this. And as I get about like 40 seconds in, I'm like, this is the same thing that I just encountered days ago. And so while in 2010 or 11, when I recorded it, wasn't thinking anything of it. One, I didn't want that situation to happen either, but some odd, 10 years later, I spoke that exact scenario into existence. And so words have so much power. You can speak bad, you can speak good, and maybe they come to fruition, maybe they don't. But I don't want to chance that anymore in my life, right? So that's why I say be more careful with your words, be intentional, and be less careless with your words. Just be careful, be focused.